Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today we're going to be looking at one of my most favorite Milim units, Space Milim, from the half anniversary back in 2022. Now, she's already received one skill fusion that I've done. She got a second skill fusion a couple months ago, and I just haven't really found a reason to do it, because it's not super duper impressive. Like, it's good, but I couldn't really find a good chance to really apply it. So what it does is that currently she gives the DRAGO effect to herself, which is a 20% extra stat increase for any buff you apply. So this attack buff, this magic buff, this space buff will be increased by 20%. If you're familiar with either the Awakened Isis and her DRAGO buff, or more probably is Exalted Champion Velzard Protector. She also has DRAGO. So we've had a few different units that do it, so it's the same principle. And then she gives herself a 20% attack buff right now. When you skill fuse it, it becomes slightly better. So we look at the full effect. She now gives DRAGO to Octagram Demon Lord and Dragonikai Haki, whatever you want to call it. So instead of giving it to herself, she gives it to now two forces, of which she is on both anyways, so it's still, herself too. But she's opened it up. And then she gives herself a 40% attack buff, which is double the effect of what it used to be. So stronger straight up attack, which is going to be, again, enhanced by DRAGO. And she's giving it to a number of other characters. So I figured with this new Wind Lumi that has come out for the Tournament Stalwart meta, the DRAGO can be applied to Octagram Demon Lords, which that new Lumi is on. So I do want to get this showcase done to see how much DRAGO will affect that physical damage buff that Lumi has that is quite heavy. And we're going to increase it another 20% and make her hit even harder. But first we got to skill fuse Milim, and we got to use her alone to see how much her damage really goes up. So let's jump into, I believe we have it pulled up, yeah, the old Tempered Edge stage. We're going to use this team, and we're going to nuke with Milim with alt buff and magic buff and weakness strike and synergy down and her own magic and stuff. And then we've got Coleus Lumi to stack attack. We're going to get this as a baseline number without the skill fusion, and then we'll come back with it, and then we'll go into the actual stage that I want to test her out in. Okay, it's going to take a while before we get a good starting hand, so let's just do this, and then we'll bring in you for Violet. And I think we'll just send these green orbs, because greens are the things that we are not equipped to handle a lot of the time. And as long as we can get the same amount of stacks between this run and this fused run, then everything's fine. It might not be the best run in the world, but it'll definitely be something. So, yeah, it's definitely something. Let's just let's do this. We'll convert these 5, and then we'll just take you out of there. So yeah, definitely not the best run in the world. But as long as we get like a good example, because no matter what we nuke with, it's going to go higher. The DRAGO effect itself is not changing. So realistically, the only thing that we're going to see on this run is the extra 20% attack, which, is important, yes, technically. Wow, this run really sucks. Hold on. Okay, I wouldn't exactly call this a better run, because we're still on turn 3, but at least we can get a full hand of blues. Boy, I don't know why everything has to be a struggle sometimes. Okay, let's get a stack on Lumi. Will hit everybody because they're either Visions of Coleus or they're Octagram Demon Lords, so that works out well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so like I was saying earlier, the skill fusion for herself, 20% extra attack is not the end-all, be-all for this character, especially since she doesn't have an EX ult. I don't know when she's slated for her, EX upgrade or something. Probably not for a while. But it's more so enabling other characters to do this, which very easily you could just take her and put her with, or instead of bringing her, you could just put any unit on Exalted Champion Velzard's team and they would get DRAGO. So it's not reinventing the wheel or anything. But on teams where you're not able to bring Velzard, then this could be actually a pretty good chance. And this Milim does not have enough HP for this. Well. Well, I mean, we're doing the extra damage bonus with Lumi, so... yeah, see... Okay, so let's take Blanc out of here. We'll do the self-convert, boom, the violet convert, the rainbow convert, boom, boom, boom. And then we'll bring this Blanc in for VOC Rimuru. I made it sure so only Milim has attack gear on, but that's not really going to save her now, is it? I guess we could nuke early. There's no reason we can't. I think we have we have her ult now, so... And her buffs are leaving, so I guess now would be a good time. 350 points. Let's just check how many stacks we got on her now. That way we can do the same amount when we come back with the skill fusion. So we are up to 82% attack. Wow. Alright, 82% attack is where we're going to be for stack-wise. So let's do the magic buff, let's do the alt buff, let's do the space and Drago. And then we have enough points to use the weakness strike and synergy down. And then we can activate the synergy with that stack of Lumi that we have not used yet. So let's get you out of here. Boom, at least we have enough points. I was really worried we weren't going to have enough for this. Okay, stack of Lumi, and then we'll nuke with Milim. She'll do okay damage, I guess. But we can watch it. I haven't seen this ult in a while, because it's not very often we nuke with Space Milim, right? She just goes blue Kaioken, essentially. Just the colors are a bit reversed, because normally the blue ore is inside, right? 2.2 actually isn't... That's more than I thought she would do. Alright, 2.2 million. So, let's skill fuse her now, and then we will come back, probably on just the nuke turn, and redo this again, and see, quote-unquote, how much higher it goes. Okay, we're back. We're at the 82%, which is before we use that last stack of Lumi, so it's actually going to be, 94%? We technically have 2. We're only going to use 1 so we can match what we did last time, but I neglected to show you guys what it actually looks like when you use Drago. So let's do 1, 2, 3, boom, and then we'll bring in Blanc for the alt buff, and then after that we will activate the Drago buff. So, and there we go. Okay, so looking at Milim right now, she has 82% attack, 50% space attack, 100% weakness strike, 100% magic attack. And now, when we apply Drago for 15 points, Octagram Demon Lord, Dragon Isekai, and then 40% attack. So, it's only for herself, because she's the only one getting it. Let's add that final stack of Lumi on, and now if we look back at what her stats are, they're now going to go up a little bit. So now we're up to 112.8, when it should have been the 94%, and that's because of the extra 20% we're getting from Drago. Space attack up 10%, because that's 20%. Weakness strike 120, magic attack 120, attack, the 40% attack she gave herself is actually 48%. So Drago giving just a flat 20% increase to whatever the buff happened to be at the time. It does not affect the ult though, because that's not a character buff, that is a orb buff, so it's going to remain the 150% right there. But we did like 2.2 last time, I'm sure we'll do more here. Yeah, 2.4, look at that, 200k. 20% extra attack, it makes some sense. But her skill fusion doesn't really improve herself, she's meant to improve other people, so now let's go improve other people. Okay. Since I'm trying to help this new Lumi do as much damage as possible, we're going to put her with this new Lumi, and we will again do a before and after, where the first time we'll nuke without using the Milim buff, and then we'll come back and we'll do it with the Drago, and see what that extra 20% does for all of the buffs we're going to put on her. Okay, so I mean, this is going to be fairly standard, fairly being the keyword, right? We don't have a blue orb changer, that's fine. Sending these 4 blues gets us a Veldora because we're using the Protector Lumi trait along with the big 3. And that's perfect right there, because we at least have 3 orbs for, not Rimuru, but Lumi to come in and steal. So none of these debuffs are going to affect us, we're only using crit or other kinds of buffs, so it's not a big deal. Take her out, we will steal these 2, and then we'll do the first stack of Lumi's AoE and alt buff, and then we'll just kind of send these. we'll use the Veldora to give us the attack buff, and also the future hand of blue orbs. That's the most important thing, is that we worry about that. And we get her EX ult because of sending these orbs. So we got her first ult from Veldora, and then we got the second ult from these 6 orbs that are being buffed by Lumi. So very, very easy to get the EX ult. We just need to make sure we can get the maximum amount of stacks on these characters, and that looks really good. So we have an incoming blue orb, so I don't even really need to worry about too much right here, because we can simply take this Shinsha out for her counterpart, and then ult swap away because it's a wind ult, so that works, and then we'll do 2 more buffs, and that's all of our points right there. And then we'll use Veldora again to make sure the next hand of blues, or next hand is going to be blues, and I guess we can give her another ult gauge, which doesn't matter because she's already capped out. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 1 more turn to use as many buffs as possible. I want to make sure that we can use at least the 3rd stack of the AoE buff, because that's a lot stronger than the 20% ult damage. We also have to make sure we have enough points to actually nuke next turn, which, granted, is not very expensive, thank God. At least with this current team build. So we have 107 points. We're using the blue skill point charm, and even then it's it's really not doing that much for us. So let's do Veldora again, because when I'm not going to use the ult swap here, I'm just going to send Lumi away, and I want to make sure that we can get enough points. So let's at least do that 1 AoE stack. And then, I mean, I guess we don't actually have to send her away. Let's just do this. But we might get extra points, so let's actually send her away. Okay. And then you go over there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 120, which actually means we have 150 points, so that's perfect. We have enough to use the Lumi buff and the Shinsha buffs, because we need to use 3 buffs here. If we can fit in another stack of Lumi's ult, then great, but it's not the end of the world if we don't. We're already getting 80% ult damage from the New Year's Shinsha, so, you know, it's fine. So let's bring you in for Lumi, so we can't even do it anyways, and then we'll bring Shinsha in for Milim. So, we're going to have 80% ult damage plus 40% crit. We'll have the guaranteed crits right here. This crit damage will be wiped out by this Shinsha's buff. And then we have the physical attack and physical damage. And then we'll have the 60% attack from Veldora. And this will be the before shot, right? We have not used Milim's skill, but we can see that we have 40 points left over. So we definitely have enough points to use this Drago skill the next time around. So let's just see what a normal orb does, and then we'll nuke 265k, and then Lumi does 5.5 million damage right there. I'd say that's pretty good, but we know that we can go higher now. So let's come back again and do that same thing, same buffs, but now we'll apply Drago to it. Okay, we are back. We only have 1 orb per Lumi this time, so, you know, not the greatest showing, but, I mean, we're still going to get the idea, right? So let's do this. Boom. We can use all of these buffs, so the crit rate, the crit damage and ult damage, the physical and physical damage, and then we have an extra 4 points left over from probably someone's trait, and then we'll bring in Milim. So, and we'll use the 60% attack buff from Veldora. So remember that Drago is a 20% increase to any buff that is applied to a character. So Lumi, being an Octagram Demon Lord character right here, she will get this. So right now she's got, let's see, 10% attack from a Barrier Stone. Okay, cool, whatever. But she's got 30% AoE, 60% attack, 40% crit damage, physical attack 80%, 100% physical attack damage. And now when we apply the Drago buff, boom, it hits her because she's Octagram Demon Lord. And now it's going to be a little bit higher. So, 120% damage done to water, 12% attack on the Barrier Stone, 36% AoE damage, 72% attack, 48% crit damage, 96 physical, and 120 physical attack damage. 20% flat. So we did 5.5 million across the board. Let's, oh god, that's not the button. But we did 8.7. I hit the wrong button, but you could see that jumped up quite a bit. That's a 3 million increase on one skill, because it's buffing all of the existing skills. It doesn't buff the ult damage, right, because that's an orb buff, and we we showed that on the last clip with Milim, but it buffs everything else we put on her. So it doesn't buff debuffs, right? So if we were to like 100% alt resistance down, even if we could, it wouldn't affect those. Those are enemy things. The DRAGO only affects our characters. But for 15 points, you can get 3 million extra damage. And, the skill fusion itself, which requires a 100 Milim. So you get the idea. That's what we're really going for. Milim's skill fusion does not really enhance her very much, but she's going to actually enhance a lot of other characters. Because if we bring up its Dragon Isekai and Octagram Demon Lord, let's take a look at that force. So legitimately, every single character that is listed right here is going to be buffed by that DRAGO skill. Whether it be Tempest Elite Rimuru, extra weakness strike, extra attack, New Year's Blessing Rimuru, Summer Milim, Isis is Dragon Isekai. She has mostly debuffs though, so not a big deal. But Phantom Wisdom Rimuru, Shinsha, more alt buff, Rimuru, Protector of Peace Rimuru, and he's doing alt buff as well. A lot of people are doing alt buffs actually. But, you get the idea, is that they're going to keep adding to the Octagram Demon Lord force, and probably the Dragon force as well. So the fact that we have now a character who can give them DRAGO, where we're not limited to only using Velzard, it's going to work. And Isis is on the team, but she gives DRAGO to magic allies only. So there are some physical characters on this list, like this Lumi that we just got done using, that would not get DRAGO from Isis. We could get DRAGO from Velzard, but in that beatdown battle, it doesn't really want you to use green orbs, so we needed another way to get that. And now Space Milim gives us a way to do that. So I expect her value, while maybe not being the tippity top-tier support character for a lot of teams, I think if you're going to have a DPS focused on one of these two forces, she can be a fairly solid option, as long as the other support units around whatever nuking character comes in the future can buff them reasonably well with physical attack, or magic attack, or synergy power, pierce power, crit damage, something like that. Things that go on the character. But overall, I've always liked this Milim, and her skill fusion just made her better for more teams, which is great, because it used to only be herself. So, opening up avenues to put her on other teams to help other people do more damage, that's the mark of a good skill fusion. So let me know what you guys think of this new Milim, but that's it for, well, not new, but new skill fusion for the, it's not even a new one. Let me know what you guys think of this fucking skill fusion for Milim. And I will take it easy, guys, and I'll see you all later.